In this video, we are going to talk about what is a property in C Sharp. In order to demonstrate that and to understand why properties are necessary, how to declare them, how to use them, I'm going to create a new application. So let me open Visual Studio. It's already open anyway. So let me create a new project here first, and I'm going to do it via a console application and via class library. Let's create a class library first and give its name as say employee library, but the solution name I'm going to change to properties in C sharp. Okay, so let's see. I decided to go ahead with the library because I would like to keep my entity class and its code, its attributes all in a separate application, and I would like to access the same from my other application, which is a front-end application, that is console application here. So I'm just from the beginning adding a new project here, and say I have added a console application, and this console application name is employee UI application. Okay, so let's add it. Okay, objective is that from employee UI, I'm going to access the employee library. So I'm going to first of all build the same employee library, though I have not made any changes over the code in that code yet. And from employee UI, we are going to use this library. So from the beginning, I'm going to add a reference to the employee library and say, okay, done. Now, let's begin. So first thing is first, in employee library, I'm going to rename this class file from class1 to employee.cs, and in that employee class I'm going to put some data members. Say for example employee name, employee for example employee ID. I have decided to go for an integer value, and then rest of them such as uh, decimal, employee, basic pay. Let me tell you what I'm thinking is that why don't we calculate salary of an employee here, right? And for that, I'm just thinking, say, employee has certain structure of salary, such as a basic pay, DA pay. Sorry, I'm writing at the wrong place. So let's go ahead here, put it back. DA pay, DNS allowance payment, and then you have got employee HRA payment, right? And I would like to calculate the salary plus side by side. So for example, when you join an organization, you will be given a project also. You'll be assigned to a project, right? So I would like to store that also in a data member by the name project name. Now quickly, let's create a constructor here, and you can do it very quickly and very easily without wasting time by hard coding the same. And you can see a little paint symbol coming over there known as quick actions. So you can just click on this. You can say generate a constructor here, and the constructor will include all these data members names. So that means in this constructor, which is going to be a parameterized constructor, we are going to pass values for these arguments or the parameters. So let me select all of them and say okay, and immediately it creates a parameterized constructor. This is great, isn't it? So you can, without wasting a little bit of time over there, you can quickly create a parameterized constructor. But I have gone for also, I'm thinking that why don't we create a simple default parameterless constructor. So if we try to do that and generate constructor, I say deselect all and click on OK, immediately creates a default constructor. Also, there is another way of creating a default constructor apart from this. Let me show you. You type CTOR, this code snippet, press tab or enter key. It's better you press tab, CTOR, not enter key. Okay. Immediately you will get the constructor being generated over here, right? So this is also a nice feature from Visual Studio, which provides a great help to create quickly all those code that you might find with boring while you know that these things have to be written manually, right? So it saves your time also. Anyway, I've written this to constructors and say I have simple function like this public which returns a value, and this function is going to calculate salary of an employee based on those three data, that is basic payment, DA payment, and HRA payment. So I'm going to just write here, return this dot, not mandatory to write this here, employee basic pay plus this dot employee DA pay plus this dot employee HRA pay too. I'm going to add these two. I'm not going for any fancy calculation of salary. So it's just going to add the three and return the value as the total salary, right? Done. Great. Now, what we can do is that since we created this application, and you can see I'm pretty much done with this code yet. And I see that lots of namespaces are there, which is I'm not using. So I'm going to remove them. And the great way to do is that press right click, say quick actions and refactorings, and say remove unnecessary usings. So you can just clean the code like this way by removing unnecessary usings, which I'm not using in my code at all, isn't it? That's great. So right now, let's build this library application and try to access this employee class from our console application. We have already added the reference, so nothing to worry about. And I'm not going to pass any command line argument, so I'm going to delete this argument also here. Okay, you can have a main function like this without an argument also. Now let's say, oh, just to test this library is working fine or not, I'm going to create an employee class object, but here I have to first of all add the namespace. So I'm going for adding this namespace, which is employee library, by the way, and then I am going to create an instance of this class saying employee is equal new employee. And as you can see, you can pass some values as because there are two overloaded constructors here, right? So this is the other one where you can pass the name, employee ID. Say, for example, I'm passing some hard-coded value. I'm not taking it from user. Employee ID is 100, and say employee basic pay is 1,000. 2,000 is the DA pay and 3,000 is the HRA pay. Great. Have you noticed one thing? I didn't pass any value for the project now, name. Now, say for example, when you join the organization, you are not immediately assigned a project. First of all, there will be certain rounds like HR rounds, etc. When everything is done, you join the organization. Maybe a little later, the project will be assigned to you. At this moment, there is no project name that I can pass. So I have an option. I can pass here a null, or really what I wanted is that to pass nothing, but anyway, that's fine. I can pass a null and the value goes over there to the constructor. So nothing is being assigned as such. And that's all. You create an instance in this fashion and go ahead, try to calculate the salary. As you know that you are going to call the calculate salary method, which returns total salary of an employee. So I'm going to just call that method on this reference variable, which says calculate the salary. Calculate salary method is called here, and you get your salary back. You are happy to print the same here, right? So that's great. So let me just quickly check whether I'm able to get the output nicely or not, or I'm going to get some error. There is no compilation error if in case there is a runtime error. So first of all, I'm going to set this employee UI as a startup project because I added the library first in the solution, which is considered as a startup project. And you know, libraries do not have any main function, so it doesn't run by itself. So I'm just setting it as a startup project right now. Then I'm going to this build menu, sorry, and the debug menu, and say start without debugging. So it starts running over there, right? And it shows the output 6,000. Great. But I have certain issues in my application, and let me discuss about them. Number one, I'm not able to pass the project name because I didn't know the project name, because the time employee joined, there was no project assigned to that person, right? To that employee. Second, also, I would like to really love to display the name of the person whose salary is 6,000, right? So how do you, number one, assign a value to this project name once again, though you have already created an instance? And second thing is that how do you get back this employee name, which I badly wanted in my main function to display along with the salary, right? So I can do one nice and quick job is that I can keep a function over there which returns the name. So for example, public string uh, get name, and that returns uh, this dot. Not mandatory to use this dot always, right? Employee name, that's fine. But what about now? You go ahead and first of all, you can make a call to this function which will return you employee dot get name, and you get back the name of the employee, which you can store it here, and then go ahead and display salaries. You would like to print like this way: salary of, you concatenate name with it, and then once again concatenation is, and this is how it's going to look like, right? So let me just run it once again by using Control F5, and you can see the output salary of Anil is 6,000. Good and great. But then I have another problem which I am not able to solve, that how to pass the project name once again when there was no project name passed at the very first place itself, isn't it? So, and also there is another thing, by chance, right now, if I would like to access any of these data members from outside the class, I actually do not have a way because they have been declared as private. In my previous video, you have noticed that private data members cannot be accessed outside the class. Okay, so you cannot access them with the reference variable. Now, what you can do, right? So is it that for every data member now I have to have a get name kind of function like get ID, get employee basic pay, get employee DA pay, HRA pay, etc. Quite possible, 100%. Why not go ahead? Maybe that would be the best idea, that in any case, if user wants any of the private data member value, since those data members cannot be accessed from outside the class directly, so you can have like this kind of a number of methods depending on how many properties you have, right? But then what about this project name? So I have found a solution. Why don't I write this public void set project name, right? Over there, I want to pass the project name once again, and here it is going to assign this dot project name is equal to project name that have been passed to this function as an argument. Let's try to use it. Once I have done this some later point of time, okay, fine. I can even, after getting all these values, even I can set this set project name is equal to, and sorry, and to this I can pass the project name. So whatever is project name, you can pass over there, right? So that's what the point of this method. But that even after the constructor has been used to create the instance, a later point of time, I might need to pass a value which was not passed while creating the object using the constructor, or maybe you would like to update the value of that project name because the person's that employee's project has been changed and this employee has been moved from one project to another project even. So some of the data members which might not be possible to set while creating the instance and calling the constructor, and that time I have no value to pass. Second, it might be necessary also to update certain of the values later point of time. Third, you might need those individual data members value back from the calling part of your application also, right? So in this case, I can see I have certain kind of functionalities, set, get, etc. But these I have to write for each and everything. Now, C# has provided a nice mechanism that if user might want some of the data members value back and you do not know which one exactly, so it's better idea to keep some kind of getter function which returns the values of those data members back to the calling portion if it's needed. And second thing, if you would like to set any of these values even after the object has been created, then some kind of setter function like set project name. So C# provides you a great mechanism here, and that is to create something called property. What is exactly a property? Let me show you first what's exactly a property. Say, for example, I want this employee project name to be not only set a later point of time, plus also to get back that project name in the main function where from I'm calling all these classes instance members, right? So say I am writing something like this, sounds a bit peculiar when you see it. What is the data type of? First thing is first, what is the data type of this data member? Project name string. So I'm typing over there public string, and then project name, look at it how I'm typing. Project name data member was in camel casing, but this project name property or whatever it is actually is in Pascal casing. You might wonder, most probably I'm going to end this line with a semicolon, then it makes like it's a data member, or I'm going to most probably use here a round bracket and then curly braces, which makes it like a function. I do neither of them. Rather, I borrow the syntax of both of them. I don't end it with semicolon. Rather, I start with curly braces, and inside which, say for example, I'm writing this kind of method: public string get project name, which returns this dot project name. Okay, and then public void set project name, which is also written earlier, string project name. And that's practically sets or assigns the value to the project name attribute of this class. What exactly I did? I, as if, have written my functions inside some kind of encapsulator, right? As if it's encapsulated within some kind of body which starts with the name, project name. But we know that functions cannot be written directly in this way inside something else like this. It has to be a class, or at a point of time you will see it has to be a structure or interface, something like that. Functions cannot be written as part of anything else. So here it prohibits me. So I'm going to just change this entire line, or better I'll comment for you, and instead I'm going to write this keyword get. Now, that's one. Second, I'm again going to comment this signature of the function. I'm going to write set. Now there is no issue as such. Okay, but the problem persists that this dot project name is equal to project name line is an error, as because here I have commented this function signature, so there is no argument by the name project name. In that case, there is something interesting. C sharp passes uh, inbuilt uh, auto-supplied keyword value here. What is that? Actually, it's a replacement of this project name. But first of all, what are these two? This entire code that I have written here for project name is known as a property. As you can see, it's neither a data member nor a function, isn't it? Then it's known as a property. What is a property? Collection of two methods. One is known as getter, another is known as a setter, or in C# terms, get and set accessors. We say get accessor and set accessor. What does this do? These two methods, one of them get, actually helps you to return the value of the private data member, which actually is not possible to be accessed from some other place from outside the class, right? Now, set accessor or the setter methods, actually the job of is to set a value to this project name data member, where value is nothing but an auto-supplied local variable whose data type is same as that of the property type. So property is nothing but a collection of or combination of these two methods, setter and getter. Behind the scene, as you can see, these are nothing but a shorthand signature of those methods, right? Methods, or better to say method signatures. Now the question is, what is value, how they are accessed? Let me just show you first that, and then you will be able to understand the full nature of property here. So in the program.cs file, what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to comment these two lines, as because these two functions do not exist directly inside the C# class. Then suppose, say, before you can calculate the salary and all those things, I'm just writing employee dot project name. Look at this. How does it appear? It's like a spanner symbol over there, right? So project name is equal to no round bracket. It's not a method as such. So is equal to some kind of value that you pass. So you pass the project name that you would like to assign to this employee, and I'm just writing some kind of placeholder kind of thing here, no actual project name. And then anytime you'd like to get it back, you can now use the other accessor known as get accessor, that project name, and how it is actually, let's see how it is working. Sorry, my mistake. So string, it returns project name is this. Yeah, there it goes correctly. So let's see. Practically, when you use this property and assign some value, it is going to call the set accessor within this property, where the value that you are assigning to it is passed to this value variable that is used to assign the value to the project name data member. Ditto same, when you do not actually assign any value, just call this property. And that point of time, it is the get accessor which is being called behind the scene, returning the data member value here, right? This is how a property works. So a property just look like any other data member, but it does give you that feeling, but behind the scene, it's nothing but an encapsulator whose job is to hide the internal functionalities and not to reveal it like a function, rather reveal it like a data member to whom you can just assign the value. Behind the scene, it is going to call the set accessor, whereas when you do not assign any value, just call the property like this, it's going to return the data member value via the get accessor. So one thing is quite sure, get accessor has a return type string, whereas set accessor has an argumented type string, which has to be same. That's why property type is string. The property type string decides the get accessor's return type as well as set accessor's input argument data type, both of them. Right now, what you can do is that I'm going to just first of all delete all this code that you have seen already and create properties for other data members also. So first thing before I can create, let me show you that how my problems are solved. Say for example, right now I'm able to assign the project name even though I didn't pass this value via constructor. Later point of time I can assign it. Second is that even I don't need right now help of any special function, I can just here say salary of, and then I can have a property by the name employee name, which I can call here to return the name. So I'm going to create quickly a property for employee name data member. Here it goes, public, its data type is string, so data member type is string, and I'm going to give the name of the property the same as that of the data member. It is actually a coding convention where we provide similar kind of name to make ourselves understand this property is for this particular data member. That's why I give the same name, but we change the case sensitivity here. And first I'm going to write set accessor in case you need it even to change anytime after the object has been created. So this dot employee name data member is equal to value. As you know, value is an auto supplied local variable accessible within only this set accessor, but you can see that this value is no longer available in the get accessor. That's what. Return this dot employee name, right? There it goes. So I have created quickly an employee name property here, which I can easily call with employee dot employee name this way. And that, since I'm not assigning any value, it is bound to return some kind of value over there. So salary off, and you can see over there now nicely if I run this application using Control F5, it's showing you the output over there, sorry, salary of only 6,000. So property is a great way of assigning value as well as returning value, assigning value to a and returning value from a data member. Now, generally, data members are private, so they cannot be accessed outside the class, but this gives you a facility to access these data members indirectly from outside the class. And also it gives you a facility that in case you cannot pass any value because you do not know the value of that particular data member at that point of time when you are creating the object, you can set this value anytime later using property, or even you can update any existing data member value also using the property. In general, properties do have get and set accessor, each of them only one. That is, one get accessor, one set accessor. You cannot have multiple set or multiple get accessor inside it. But it's quite possible that properties can have only get accessor or only set accessor. In case it has got only get accessor, then it will be known as a read-only property. If it has only set accessor, then it will be known as a write-only property. Say, for example, in this case of calculate salary, here, suppose I do not return any value and I change it and say that this calculated salary will be now stored in a data member and then we'll be returning it via property. So let me just declare an additional data member here, which is going to be decimal total salary, and that total salary data member is going to be set here. This dot total salary is equal to this calculated salary. Now you have to return this total salary. Now you do understand that this total salary cannot be set from outside because it will be depending on the calculation on the basis of basic D and H array. So that's what we have done by calling this method. And now I have to just return the value of the total salary. So I'm going to create a property here which returns the total salary, taking the similar kind of name. So total salary, but it doesn't have any set, only get accessor, as because it's going to just return these dot total salary, and setting will be done internally within the class, not from outside by you. So this is an example of read-only property, right? Again, some values such as say write-only can be there. That kind of example we'll see at later point of time, right? But yes, a property can have either get or set or both of them at the same time. In case it has got get accessor, it's known as read-only property. If it has set accessor, then it's a write-only property. So now from program.sys as a final change, as you can see, I'm calling the calculate salary method, which does not return the salary but calculates it and stores it into a data member. Your job is to, in order to print, you just need to call employee.calculate, sorry, my mistake, total salary property. That would be sufficient, and that's all. It will return you the total salary. And if you run this application, you'll be able to see the output also nicely, right? Salary of Anil is 6,000. So guys, this is what a property is. In C Sharp, a property is none other than a simple collection of either of these two accessors or methods, or both of them at the same time. Now, it's the best practice that for every attribute that you have inside the class or every data member, you better create a property, because you do not know user is going to ask the value of which data member from outside the class via the reference. So what we are going to do is that we are going to quickly create property for each and every attribute here. Already we have created for employee name and project name. So what remains is that employee ID as well as the rest of them. Now, once you have understood what property is and how to write them, you have a very nice way to create. So you can just select the data member for which you would like to create a property. Then you can right click on it, then say quick actions and refactorings. And over there you can say encapsulate field, and I would like to use the second option, employee ID, but still use field, this option. Simply choose the second option instead of the first, because I'll tell you what if I choose the first one. Now, encapsulate field, employee ID, but still use the field is the option you should choose. Immediately what will happen is that a property will be created here. But look, the property is written in a slightly different manner, because this is the new style of property writing, where get, and this is something called arrow operator, or sometimes we say lambda operator. It means implicitly that from the get accessor we are returning the employee ID, and in the set accessor we are setting the value to the employee ID. That without curly braces you can write it in the same manner. Let me write manually one more property in the same fashion. Public decimal employee basic pay. Say, for example, I'm just writing basic payment, but this time I'm just violating the rule a bit because I'm not choosing the similar kind of name as that of the data member. I'm just taking a part of it like basic payment, and then below I'm going to say set, and this is something which we are saying arrow operator, which is going to say that it's just a function. So in the set accessor, you are going to set the value to employee basic pay is equal to value, and then using get accessor, using this kind of arrow operator style, we say just return employee basic pay. It understands implicitly that it's a return statement. Ditto same, you can copy and paste it, or you can go ahead and just generate property for each and every one of them. The shortcut is press Ctrl R E, like this. If you press Ctrl plus R plus E, it will generate a property for it. It will ask you for this. There is going to be a property, and that property is this way. Or you can once again choose the same option, select this attribute name, right click, say quick actions and refactorings, and generate the property. But this time I'd like to show you the first option. What happens if we choose the first option? So let's choose the first option. See, I have chosen the first option. But look at this. A property has been created for it, no doubt. There is no problem at all. But there are two places there is a small change in the code. Number one, have you noticed this? This I did for employee DAPay also. So DAPay, HRAPay, these are two property names. They are not data member's name here. So, and also in the salary calculation, you can see this dot employee DAPay and this dot employee HRAPay, which I actually used here data member names, but they have been changed to the property name, right? The fact is the second option does this. It says that everywhere where there was a mention of a data member inside the class, replace it by property name. That is what I didn't want. That's why I told you to choose always the second one, as because this is a bit unnecessary. When you assign argument or parameter value to the property, first of all, the property set accessor is called. And when the property set accessor is called, then it's going to access the data member, right? I'm already within the class. And inside the class, I don't need to use the property here, correct? I can directly access the data member and assign the class. So maybe there are certain situation where this might be necessary, and Visual Studio generates this kind of thing as because uh, of that new feature where it is quite possible inside a class that without data members you can write properties. In that case, all the things will be done via properties, but we are not going to discuss about it. It is because of that reason they have provided this second feature, sorry, the first feature. But right now we are going to change it back to employee DAPay data member directly, as well as here employee HRAP data member directly. The same I'm going to do it in my calculate salary method. So employee DAPay and employee HRAPay data members. So remember, if you have any kind of data member for which there is no property as of now, say for example, I'm deleting the employee HRAPay once again, and there in order to generate, always if you're right clicking on it and choosing quick actions and refactoring, then if you're within the class, then generally try to choose this employee HRA, the second option, employee HRA, but still use the field, so that wherever there is a field name, it will not be changed to the property name, unnecessarily wasting time that the value will go to the property set accessor first. Via that, the data member will be assigned, not required within the class code. Anyway, your application is going to run properly. So if you want, you can build the entire solution. No problem at all. For the last time, let me run this application and show you the output once again, right? So this is how a property can be created, used, and from your application. And these are the different details about the property. It's a great feature. I'm going to end this video with just by cleaning up my code a little bit by removing the unnecessary namespaces here in this file, as well as in my employee.cs also. I guess that's already cleaned up. So good. Let's compile this. That's all. So in this video, you came to know about what is property, what are the different kind of access specifiers, accessors in property, how to use them, what is the data type of property, what is read-only, write-only property, what is the new style of writing the property, And also, above all, what is the necessity, or better to say, what are the necessities of using properties, correct?